Hi there, welcome to Bible/Chat. Jason's very rebellious. Very rebellious.
Yep, look at me.
I'm going on vacation.
Think of the two of us?
Yeah, that's right.
This is the problem when
Look at the big brain on Jason.
See when you
I'm going on vacation tomorrow, and we're just discussing how many of these we're going to do a week. And so there's that was the dialogue. One a week.
One nature, one will.
Oh my word. One lazy associate pastor. No, I'm going to be going on vacation. Jason's preaching for me, but we're going to do more, and we're going to keep them going. We're just not exactly sure how many we'll do each week. But we'll do them on Zoom. We'll record them.
Probably not.
Why are
just
you
kidding. Let's go on.
I want you to know.
I'm kidding.
Just as a quick side note, someone who will remain nameless said that they're going to start calling you Pastor Eeyore because
Tammy?
of these. Wow, you guessed it that quick. That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are discussing the pre-incarnate Christ.
Yeah.
So you talked about eternal subordination versus functional subordination. Very helpful last time. And now we want to talk a little bit about his sonship.
Yeah.
Which you kind of put your nose in a little bit in the last video, but I think it's probably helpful for you to maybe finish off that thought. So,
okay.
When did Jesus become the Son of God? Or can we say, in what sense is he the Son of God, and when did he become that? And is there any time when that will cease to be?
Yeah. Again, the highly debated issue, and some people will be like, why are they even talking about this? Does it even matter? And we talked briefly about this before, and if you read theology books, they'll say it does matter because it can, head towards heretical views of Christ, or of the Trinity, excuse me, and of Christ, I guess, but heretical views of the Trinity where you have God the Father and, God the Spirit, then what was the second member of the Trinity? If he wasn't God the Son, was he God the...
just the present one, whatever,
Yeah, and so it sort of becomes like modalism or phases of God and things like that. So just want to be careful and see what the Bible has to say about it.
Absolutely.
In Psalm 2:7, which is a messianic psalm, and quoted and referenced a lot in the New Testament. Yep. The nations are enraged against God, and they're talking in verse 3. And then in verse 4... God the Father, right here, he scoffs at the nations, and it talks about how he's going to terrify them in his fury. And this is what he says in verse 6. He says, "But as for me, I have installed my king upon Zion, my holy mountain." Okay. So you have the Lord, and then you have his king that he installs. So you have two persons at least. Of course, that's the Son. Yep. And then verse 7, the Son is actually speaking in response, and he says, "I will surely tell of the decree of the Lord. He said to me, 'You are my son, today I have begotten you. Ask of me, and I will surely give you the nations as your inheritance and the very ends of the earth as your possession.'" So people would say that this decree that's taking place there in verse 7 is the eternal decree of God, not at a point in time. Yeah. This wasn't just so some people take it at his baptism. I think that's a very common view, or at his birth. A lot of people say at his baptism. Remember when God the Father says, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." The Spirit descends upon him, and it's like, see, there it is, right there. That's when he becomes the Son. But based on a text like Psalm 2:7, and also just from inference from other texts related to this topic, we would say that in the eternal decree of God, there was already the Son. He's the second member of the Trinity. And here they're saying, it's weird because there's no point in time. But they're talking about his kingship in the future on Zion, because he's not installed as king yet. Right. Physically. He wasn't in his first coming, but he will be in his second coming in the millennial kingdom. Right. Right. So that's what's taking place here, where there's the eternal counsel of God being unveiled with some future prophetic insight that we can gather here from verses 4 down to 9. And then 10 and 11 and 12 talk about the Son again in parallel to the Lord, Yahweh, which would be in this case the Father, and says worship both. Worship one with trembling, and then do homage to the other, and take refuge in him, otherwise his wrath is soon going to be kindled. So it's like, well, they're put on par with each other. One's still called the Son there in parallel, equality with the Lord, his Father. So
Yahweh.
Yeah.
So
eternally the Son.
So what we're getting there is, like you said, an insight into the divine counsel in 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So that interaction, so you would say when it says, "Today I have begotten you," that word isn't necessarily
at a point in time. Right.
Just a reality of it.
Yeah, exactly. It's not that just because it's a psalm it has to be figurative, but I think it is figurative based on the fact that it's a decree,
Yeah.
the fact that, okay, when did this this hasn't happened yet even when David is writing this,
Right.
it's somewhere future. So at what point is this, I mean,
Yeah.
you would have to say this is taking place, I don't know,
Yeah.
sometime or
Yeah.
before time.
Yeah,
which
before
makes more
time.
sense, I think.
Totally.
Yeah. So it
Okay.
would be figurative, like
Yeah.
just to show the reality of it and just to sort of punctuate, like, here and now,
Yeah.
this is taking place.
So in a sense,
or what
God
will
for
take place.
all time has had Christ as Son.
Yeah.
And what do theologians call that?
Oh, sorry. The eternal sonship
Okay.
versus incarnational sonship.
Incarnational sonship.
He's
So
always been the Son.
So he's always been the Son.
Yeah.
And is there a terminology for that, like the eternal?
Oh, sorry, that's what you sorry.
Just so people, if they hear these words, they know.
No. They call it. Sorry, they call it eternal generation.
Okay.
Yeah, and then for the Spirit, they call it eternal procession or eternal spiration.
Yeah, we'll cover that one later.
So they've always existed in, like, the relational, like, always that way.
Okay.
And you say, well, generation. I know that the word sounds for us like birth, generations of people and
Yeah.
ages. But it's eternal generation.
Right.
So it's like there was no birthing there.
Yeah.
And the word begotten here and in the New Testament doesn't mean born.
Yeah.
When it means one of a kind, unique. So eternal generation just highlights the idea that there is a distinction between the members of the Trinity.
Yeah.
The Son is distinct from the Father.
Yeah.
And that's like their relationship with each other.
Yeah.
You know, and not that he was eternally subordinate, which we covered already.
Right.
But there is a relationship there.
Yeah.
And ultimately, it does say that the Father sent the Son.
Yeah.
It doesn't say the Son sends himself.
Right. Exactly.
Doesn't mean he's lower than the Father or anything like that. But
Yeah.
in how they respond, or how they, not respond, but how they act out
Yeah.
in the works of redemption,
Yeah.
that's what takes place.
Father and Son.
Father and Son.
So relation to
Spirit,
those have
yeah.
always existed.
Yeah.
It's sort of the high priestly prayer, John
Yeah.
17:24.
Yeah.
That idea, like before the foundation of the world, we had this love
Yeah.
together.
Yeah. He was always,
Always. So the eternal generation.
Yeah.
Right? So always existing, not necessarily in any birth,
Yeah.
but that relationship has existed for all time.
Yeah, for all time without two different wills or anything in eternity past. That's what, again, makes the incarnation so mind-blowing.
Yeah. Totally.
But yeah, when we're talking about pre-incarnation, then we have to be guarded and say there's only one divine nature with three persons, one will.
Yeah. Very good.
Yeah. So he was eternally the Son, eternally the Spirit, eternally the Father.
Got it. Cool. So good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Digging into the Trinity here. This
Yes,
is so
the-
helpful.
The deepest parts.
It is the impossible to understand parts. at
Exactly.
certain
It really
places,
is. It's a mystery at the end of the day.
What was that Spurgeon quote that you were
Okay,
using?
so he says something like, people use terms like eternal generation, but it's just sort of like a covering to hide the fact that there's all this mystery underneath that we can't actually
grasp.
Yeah.
It's super helpful.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much, man. Appreciate
You're
it.
welcome.
Yeah. Thanks for throwing some Christology around for
That's
us.
right.
Very good. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening to Bible/Chat.